Before we get started, I'd like to just take a second and ask you to join me in a moment of silence, recognizing the passing of our colleague, Dr. Jeff Horn, who passed away on February 5th. Thank you. I did not know Jeff well, but especially over the last several days, come to really appreciate what he brought to the table. I think through his instruction, of course, but really through mentoring. I understand he's instrumental in the development and growth of the robotics club over the years, and I know he's a really active researcher and scholar, and also just a really interesting, fine individual. And so I know he'll be missed in many different ways. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for a university forum. We have these from time to time. I believe last year I committed us to having at least one of these forums per semester. And indeed, we'll have another forum, a kind of general topic forum, on March 20th. I have it down for 3 p.m. In Jamrich 1100, so note the different location. There should still be plenty of room for us over in Jamrich. Today's forum is a bit of a special topics forum. I was curious to see how many folks would show up for a capital project update. I think that the turnout today is positive and shows everyone's interest not only in our infrastructure and facilities, but also maybe concern about traffic, parking, and access during what will be a challenging but exciting time. I'm not going to talk a lot about the specifics of our capital projects. We have Gavin Leach here and Kathy Richards, Jim Toms, to really dive into the details. But what this is about is our attempt to be true to our commitment around communication. And some of that, as I mentioned, are these university forums. We have a university assembly, various opportunities to communicate through email and video. We are never going to bat 1,000 on communication. I'm very open about that, but we'll try to get as close to that point as possible. And I want to appreciate your time and energy this afternoon in learning about something that is going to have an impact on all of us in one way or another. Because this is about communication, I am going to, with your indulgence, Gavin, take about a minute and a half or 2 minutes to give a few other updates to the folks who are assembled here. And the first update is really around something essential to us, and that is the state budgeting process and ultimately the state appropriation to higher education. We're in the very early days, as we always are this time of year, but the governor did release her executive budget on February 7th, including a 2.5% increase to the base appropriation for the universities in Michigan. A few other important line items, including the funding of the Michigan Achievement Scholarship, which is an important accessibility and affordability tool for schools like Northern. Some of you may have read about the governor's proposal around free community college, which is a longer topic, perhaps for a different university forum. But you know that Northern performs the community college function in Marquette and Alger counties. So we are connected to this idea, although notably we're not included presently in that free community college effort by the governor. A long way to go on the budget side of things. The executive budget is ultimately connected to the budget that comes out of the House and the Senate and reconciled. It'll be much later into the spring and ultimately perhaps into the summer before we have final word on that. And it's not for me to tell you the impact that has on our own financial planning and budget strategy as we head into the next fiscal year 25. Gavin, it could be the case that we'll have some more updates at that next university forum on March 20th, although it'll still be fairly early in the process. A couple of other quick notes, and I think really exciting notes. Wildcat Way. You might say, well, what's Wildcat Way? Well, Wildcat Way right now is a concept. If you were a student of the 2019 Campus Master Plan, which I have become, certainly upon taking this position, you'll know that there is a concept for Wildcat Way, really a throughway that would stretch from what is the area around Quad 2, all the way up through the Academic Mall, and back through the main part of campus and down past Cohodes to Presque Isle Avenue. And there's some flexibility in exactly how that path will flow through campus. But the point is that it would be a connecting thread, kind of from one end of campus to another. I'll point out for our Jacob Eddy friends, Mike and Derry, I can feel your energy coming from that side of the room. We will also look for important ways to connect Wildcat Way all the way to the true end of our campus, which is the Jacob Eddy complex. And there are lots of different ways in which this path can add value to campus. One is through transportation, of course, pedestrian, perhaps bike transportation. And then the gathering spaces, the artistic spaces, the heritage recognition that might be included as the Wildcat Way meanders through NMU's campus. Point of all of this, there are many details to be discussed, and the first meaningful step is a set of engagement sessions that were supposed to happen a few weeks ago but got delayed because of weather. And at the end of this month, we will host those engagement sessions. So on Thursday, February 22nd, there are a set of student sessions. I see a number of students in the room right now from 9:30 to 11 and 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. on the 22nd. In the Jamrich kind of open area, there'll be student engagement sessions, and then from 5:30 until 8 at Northern Lights, I imagine that being a real popular session, we'll have an opportunity for students to weigh in on their thoughts for design of Wildcat Way. And then on that same day from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. in Jamrich 1322, there'll be a faculty staff focused session. It's the Smith Group that's helping us with this design project. Again, early days, but we need engagement in order to get to the right place as we move forward. So I encourage you to attend those events. Strategic planning, Jason, I'm not going to get into too much detail right now, but there'll be an email coming from the NMU Pres email address outlining our next steps in strategic planning. As I think you know, we're moving from our interim plan to our new strategic plan. We've had some preliminary engagement outreach sessions with folks off campus, including a really neat kind of community visioning dinner at the end of the fall semester. But now we're in the heart of it, which includes campus engagement. And what you'll have are a number of different opportunities, many virtual, some in person, to engage in the strategic planning process and to make sure that really we follow up what was, I think, a very inclusive and successful process leading to the interim strategic plan with a similarly or even more inclusive process that gets us to our new strategic plan. Really exciting things for us to ponder in that plan. And I'm getting there, Gavin. The last point I want to touch upon, and I saw Jen walking in. I don't know where you ended up sitting. Jen is here, and as the new library director, certainly you've felt the brunt of this move of the library out of Hardin Hall to Grease Hall. The move is complete in as much as it can be, and I think it's not a perfect situation, but it is more than reasonable. I think it was the logical destination, temporary home for the library. The books are available in the quad. I know students are redirecting some of their studying. If you walk into the atrium over in Weston, or you walk into the second or third floor of Jamrich, areas that were kind of lightly populated in the past have a lot more students there, and that's okay. It is a challenging stretch, and it will be until the fall of 2025. But oh my, when that Hardin Hall reopens, I think we're going to have a real gem on our hands. So thank you for your patience with the library relocation. That brings me to the topic for today, which is sort of ongoing and upcoming construction projects around campus and the impact that they may have on our kind of day-to-day operations, in particular areas like parking and traffic flow. We'll have information on timelines, other key details. All of this does cause a bit of frustration and congestion and redirection in the short term. But, you know, if you hear prospective students and families talk about walking across our campus today, or if you think about your work environment today or your studying environment if you're a student, we have an amazing campus. We really do. It's really an asset for Northern. And these new projects will get us even further down the road towards this really fantastic environment that encourages solid learning, high quality learning, and also high quality environment for work life on campus. So it's all for a good cause. I do know we have a few steps that we need to clear before we get to those finish lines. So without further ado, I'm going to hand it to Gavin Leach, our Vice President for Finance and Administration. Thanks, Gavin, for sharing some details today with us. And thanks all again for joining for this University Forum.
Thank you, Brock. Great start to it. Yeah, as you know, we've been busy. We've been busy doing a lot of projects over the last several years, and we got a couple more years to go on this now. Really transforming the campus, creating, as you mentioned, great learning environment, great studying environment, great environment for everybody on campus, and that's what we're trying to do. Yeah, we just completed Jacob Eddy Complex last year, the Wellbeing Center and the Bear Center, and the Berry ice making equipment. Luckily, we're pretty much done on Berry Ice. I'll mention that. We have phase 2 coming up, and it's more on the roof than inside the building. But we have some other exciting projects coming on, and as Brock mentioned, we have Hardin Hall. Hardin Hall is, we've moved everybody out, as you mentioned. What they're doing right now is sort of asbestos removal and other types of tearing things out inside the building. And so that'll go on for a little while. And then in about March, they'll start to mobilize for the more heavy-duty work after they take that out. And that's where you'll see a little bit of disruption happening on campus. I saved that for Jim and Mike to talk to you about all the disruptions and parking and walking and everything. So gave them the good stuff on the presentation. But things are moving. We have everything in place. We did put it out for bid, and we ended up having to revise some scope and rebid, and we finally got the pricing in this week. So we'll be going to the board on Friday with the final approval, because we wait for final approval until you get the final maximum price, bid price for the project. So that's all moving along, and we're pretty excited about it. And as Brock mentioned, it'll create a little bit of disruption. It'll start in March. You'll get a little more disruption in the summer, and then by fall 25, everybody will forget all that disruption. It'll be a beautiful place to go into, and everybody will be excited. So we look forward to that time period. So does Kathy, especially, putting her through all these. And another exciting one is our science complex, adding lab and office space to the building. That one's going to be a pretty cool project. Is it not on? Am I one off on this? Okay, there we go. My screen will look different, so it's weird. There's like a delay. Anyway, that one's getting moving, and that one we put out for bids. The bids are complete and they're in, and that'll be another one on Friday. We'll go to the board and ask for final approval based on the final bid prices. You can see it'll be located sort of on the backside of Weston Hall there. And the Science Building and Weston Hall is sort of like right in between the two of them there. And they'll begin construction in April. And that one's also will need to be completed by August 2025, so we can get classes rolling for the fall. So that's a pretty tight window, but I think things will be good in there. That one won't create as much disruption as Hardin Hall will, but it will create some, especially for like departments inside the building. In particular, biology, they have some labs, a lab that'll be impacted, chemistry a little bit, or psychology, I think was the other one. Biology, and they've already facilities has worked with them for some alternative areas for some of their lab materials. And they pretty much have everything in place, we think. There's several other departments where it won't be a direct impact, it'll be more indirect, and they'll be discussing things with them in the future before we get started. So all looks good there. Excited to get going on that one. I think it'll be pretty cool. It'll be great for our science programs. Some nice new labs. It's been needed with the growth that they've had in those areas, so it's pretty great to be moving forward on that. Vandeman Arena, converting it from just volleyball to volleyball and basketball. The contract was awarded on that, and we did have previous board approval. Construction is underway. Primarily what they've done right now is just sort of tear everything out inside it. So if you look inside there, it's a big empty shell, and it's pretty much on target. What they'll be working on next are like mechanical, masonry, steel, and those types of things, putting it inside the facility. So that's sort of that next step. So right now, if you looked inside, it would sort of be a big empty shell, which is how it should look at this point. And right now, they look like they're on target. It's critical that they get done by August, because then we start to have events happening in that structure in the fall. So very tight timeline on it, but we feel pretty confident that that'll be right on target this fall. Barry Event Center, Phase 2. I think that's what's on your screen, I hope. Oh, it went ahead of me now, so I'm trying to, okay. Superior Dome catwalk repairs and turf replacement. So you probably hadn't heard about, is it moving on me? It's like the timing thing is off here. Okay. Catwalk, and many of you didn't hear about the catwalk repairs, but most of you have heard about the dome turf repairs. Every year pretty regularly, I should say, we go through, just regular maintenance, looking at things, and as part of that process, it's preventive maintenance. We do that at a lot of facilities all over campus, and in this place, since we're working on the dome, we were looking at the catwalks and other things to make sure they were all in great condition. And they got like an A minus, pretty good report, but we want it to be an A because it is up there pretty high. So we're going to do a little bit of work on it this summer, or actually in March from May 13th to May 31st. Just going up there and doing those preventive maintenance things. You want to make sure, especially when they're that high up, you want to make sure everything's tight and everything's in order for the future. And so there's about 3 weeks of work on that they got to do. But it's just something we like to make sure, especially when we have people walking that high off the ground. I've done it a few times myself, and it is pretty high up there. So anyway, that'll be worked on, and that'll be done within a 3-week window. They'll bring because it's so far up there, you got to bring the lifts up there to get you way up, or cranes, probably mini cranes, right, Kathy? Yeah, large lifts, and they'll get up there, complete the work, and it's not like heavy-duty work, but it's just high off-the-ground work. So I'll get that done, and then in June, we'll start turf replacement, and that'll be June 24th to August 9th, and again, we're on critical timelines again. Got to make sure we're done by then, because pretty soon we have football games starting up, as well as trade shows and everything else that we do every year there. So that one's moving along. I think everything looks like it's going to be on time, so we're pretty happy about that. Again, there's so many events that happen in the Dome, not just athletic events. You got community events, you got walkers, you got high school teams coming in, trade shows, everything happens around there. So it's a pretty incredible facility we have on our campus. Now, is the ice rink showing? Okay, good. Barry Events, we did the ice, we did the boards last year, and the last phase that we need to do is up on top of the roof. You have the trying to remember outside you got the chillers and other things on top of the roof, and they need to be removed and replaced. And part of it is that means we got to shut down the building for a little while we do that. So we don't want people inside when you're putting heavy equipment up on top of the roof. So it's basically the HVAC equipment, those big heavy things, metal things you see on top of the roof. They got to replace those, and you don't want people inside if something happens. So Mike wouldn't allow us to do that, right, Mike? But anyway, that's the last phase of it, and that'll complete that project altogether. We're pretty happy with everything that's happened so far on it. It turned out really well. The next one, Brock had mentioned to you, it's about the campus site design in Wildcat Way in particular. It's about going through, and this was defined in the campus master plan, the last one we did. It's about looking at it looks also at campus entries. It looks at that walkway through, but as part of this, we're also looking at our campus entries to campus too. Um, Potentially, a lot of bike lanes, different types of landscaping materials that go along Wildcat Way. That'll be a big part of it. And a big thing we're looking for is campus input into what we want to see on Wildcat Way. And as Brock mentioned to you, we're going to have quite a few listening sessions as well as other direct meetings with specific areas on campus. This is more of a futuristic project that we'll be looking at. And it's really just trying to create that cool, have nice pathway all the way through campus, maybe, tree-lined, lit, bike lanes, other venues along the way, arts area, seating area, other things. So this is where we really want a lot of campus input to help us define things for the future along it. I think it could be pretty exciting. Next up, we have the College of Business. That just came back, I think, late this fall. We got this project awarded for addition onto, it's going to be addition onto Hedgecock. It's going to be pretty cool. It's for the College of Business. This is not the actual design. We just had a week to put something together to talk to the Joint Capital Outlay Committee, so they put something together for us so we'd have something to show, but we'll be hiring architects in the future here, and we'll be working with them on a design for the project. Right now, it's sort of in the phase where the state goes and they award you the project, and but then you got to go through a bunch of different phases with the state, and we got to get some programming and schematics done with architects and construction managers. That'll take a little while, probably till December. Once we do that, then we go back to the state, and then we can't start actually working on the project until the state gives us construction authorization. So then once you have construction authorization, you can move into the rest of the phases and ultimately bid and work on the project. So that was a little bit off, and we don't know the exact starting timeline yet for the project. We'd hope it would be that, what do you think, Jim? Yeah, probably May of 2025 is more likely the start date for that project, just based on what you need to go through with the state to get everything in line to move forward. But once it does, I think it'll be, again, sort of finishing off the inside of that academic mall will be really cool. Getting a very distinctive look for the College of Business. I think that'll be great for them. We're going to make it a great place like we're trying to do on all these other buildings. Great learning environment, great working environment, great for students. So we'll keep moving on that trend, and we're pretty excited about that. To get another state capital outlay project that soon is pretty incredible. So we're pretty excited about having it. Then I have one more that we are looking at right now. I don't have it on my screen. Is the demand for our residence halls and apartments has been significant this last 2 years. It's this year in particular, it really grew, and as we look into next year, we're hoping we have that problem next year, and it continues to grow. And as part of that, we're talking with Graystar, who we did the Woods with, to do a 300 to 400 bed new apartment complex on campus. We haven't specifically defined the site, but in the master plan, you'll see something along Presque Isle. We also have space over in the old Summit Center. But we're working with them on a concept to move forward on, and that could happen, fairly soon once we get going, just because we know the demands on the housing. Demands everywhere in housing in Marquette. It's pretty incredible. But on campus, we're having those same demands. So we're working on a similar type. It won't be a resident hall one, though. This will be an apartment complex, and it'll be pretty exciting. Well, again, we'll try to make it a great facility, like we try to make all the facilities that way. So. All good news, all exciting. That would obviously be a P3 model versus the traditional, just like we did on the Woods. And I think, until I turn it over to Mike and Jim for the exciting stuff, one more thing. I was just thinking, we were talking about this at exec the other day, is, when we do these projects, we really have a big impact on faculty, staff, students. We do affect the community use a lot of our facilities too, but you know, that we do have a big impact on the local economy too, as we're doing all these things. And it's pretty significant. Jim and I were going through some numbers, and during our peak construction, we had about 166 workers on campus, you know, working on these projects. In total, for the 4 projects we completed already, it was about 235 workers. Between those and the upcoming projects, just on supplies, not on labor locally, we'll spend about $25.9 million into local businesses. So I think it's pretty significant and something, you know, don't always think about, you know, as far as what impact it has. We know our impact on campus, but it does definitely impact the local economy, which I think is also a very positive thing about these. So it's pretty cool, you know, adds a lot of jobs, FTE-wise, between Jacob Eddy Hardin Health and Wellness and the labs, that'll be about 140 FTE over a 3-year period. So it's pretty impressive, the numbers. But that's all I have to talk about on my part of it until you get into the fun relocation. Is there any quick questions, or should I take them now or wait till after Jim?
Really quick follow-up on the apartments.
Yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the P3 model.
Yeah.
For folks who may not sort of understand exactly what that arrangement does for us, that could be helpful to kind of explain why we would go in that direction rather than.
Yeah. So that's a good question. Yeah. So it's similar, like with the Woods, is what it does is, they under a P3 model is there's a couple of different types, but the ones we focus on are concessionaire type models. That's an accountant type term, so I'm probably trying to think of a better word for it, but it's almost like an income sharing arrangement. And is what it does is they put out all the money, or most of it. Sometimes we need to put in a small sliver. And they pay for all of it, and for doing that on our property, they'll get a share of the revenues, and the university will get a share of the revenues, but then they're responsible for 100% of the upkeep, and they have a contract that requires them to keep the facility in like-new condition throughout the term of your agreement with them. So they do all the maintenance, everything on the building. You know, we operate the lifestyle in the building, which is, you know, with the RDs and the students and everything. Or an apartment, it's a little different. You have a community advisor in the apartment, but we only cover those costs, and we get a piece of the revenue, obviously, to cover that plus, you know, any other costs associated. And then they have their share of the revenue to maintain the facility, the structure, all the other operations like the custodial and other maintenance items on the building. So that's sort of the piece of it. And the other side of that then is, from a debt perspective, it leaves us available dollars, you know, to invest like we've done in a lot of these instructional and learning facilities that we have that maybe we wouldn't have been able to if we had tied it up in housing debt. So, Hugo, yeah.
When you discuss these ideas about the new apartments,
Yeah.
maybe you can also look at the possibility of having an area for new faculty, for example, that they can rent an apartment, given the situation in Marquette, that part of your demand is could be not only the students, but maybe some faculty that when they arrive here, they need a place to stay. I mean, you will charge them rent and everything, but
Actually, that has been part of our discussion, is that issue, because we've seen it more and more lately. So we're trying to figure out what that mix would be, but that is a possibility. We have to keep it within the university structure. You have taxable issues versus tax-exempt issues. So, but faculty are part of the piece of the university that we could count towards tax exemption. So that makes it possible to do. And we are looking at that. Was one of the discussions we did have, Hugo. Thank you. Anything else? Over here.
Yeah, is that Weston addition flush up to Weston, or is there a gap?
No, it's flush up against it.
So those 9 offices, what, their windows are just bricked up, or how does that work?
Yeah, actually, that will be the impact, and yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to do it every which way we could on it. Actually, originally, we were going to put it on the inside of the academic mall. We had hoped it could go there because it would affect less things like that. And the alignment of I think the stairwells between the two buildings didn't align quite right, and so they weren't architecturally able to pull that one off. I think that was part of the challenge when we were looking at that. Yeah.
Yeah, there are some offices where the addition goes to that will lose their windows, for sure. Part of the addition is not just lab space, though, there are also additional 15 offices.
Oh.
There's additional 15 offices that will be constructed as part of that, you know. The assignment of those offices is still kind of to be determined, but yeah. There's no way to get it up against the building, do what we need to do without some loss.
Other questions? All right. I think I'm going to turn it over to Jim and Mike now for the fun topic about the impacts of disruption with walkways and parking.
Yeah, we're good. In just a minute, I'll show you some images of the science complex, and you can kind of see how it's gonna be constructed. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know, I'm Jim Toms. I'm the Director of Facilities, heavily involved in a lot of the projects that Gavin just shared with you. Brock talked about it. Gavin talked about it. Oh, Hardin Hall. The move-out is complete. So all of the folks have been relocated over to the old health center. The books have been relocated to the Quad 2 facility. And what we're doing in the building right now is we've completed kind of the ceiling removal. We've severed the HVAC systems. We've separated the occupied spaces from the construction spaces, so there can be no sharing of air, so to speak, between the two. And we have started asbestos abatement. Mainly that work has been up on the 3rd floor, and it's been removing things like pipe insulation. But in the next week or so, we're going to move down to the 2nd floor and start removing fireproofing. For those who have kind of been over in Lot 28, you've seen that there is some construction fence that has already started to go up. As you look at this image, that's represented by the red dotted line. That's the limit of our construction fence through essentially spring break. At spring break, we will occupy the north half of Lot 28. That's represented by that dotted yellow line. That and the red area will remain closed through the duration of the project. The area marked by the orange dotted line that kind of fronts the academic mall, that area would be fenced off after school is out in the spring. And then, you know, after that kind of May period when we're really into heavy construction, that entire area becomes our construction site and will remain fenced off for the duration. Yes? Two slides and I got it. Summer class in Hardin? We're trying to find you a new home right now. I talked with Angie today. We're trying to find you a new home for the summer. Okay. All right. What you see here is everything in red are the 3 kind of dotted lines that I showed you before. That's our construction site. I can't see it because the image is about this big on the screen, but the green arrows represent the exterior access points to the facility. In the upper right corner, the loading dock, that always remains accessible. The sidewalk off of Tracy Avenue into the lower level, that always remains accessible. As you come kind of down to the bottom where you see the link that connects Hardin Hall to Jamrich Hall, those two link doors remain accessible for the duration of the project. The sidewalk that is between Jamrich Hall and the parking lot, or the portion of the parking lot that we close, that always remains accessible. On that map, there are a series of kind of blue handicap symbols. Those represent essentially ADA access points. The blue symbol in the academic mall, that doesn't necessarily represent ADA access on the ground level. The tunnel that connects Weston to Hardin Hall, that always remains accessible. So that is also always open, and that is an ADA access point. In the upper right, did I get that right? Yep. In the upper right, you can see a ADA access symbol with 2024 on it. Right now, there is no ADA parking down in that area, but we plan to restripe and reconfigure some parking down there so we can make an accessible access route or accessible parking for the ground floor.
Then the walkway for the students.
Off Tracy Avenue.
No, from the woods, the temporary walk.
Oh,
It's
that's
on
on there?
there, yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah, you can see the yellow dash that's in there. We're gonna have to install a temporary walk that allows students coming up from Quad 2 in the woods to access the academic mall. The reason we have to block some of those sidewalks off, if you understand the project, the front side or the academic side of Hardin Hall actually goes up 2 levels. So we're adding a third and a fourth floor to that area that fronts the academic mall. So we have a lot of heavy construction that'll take place in there, a lot of steel erection. And to accommodate that, we're gonna have to have those areas blocked off so we can set cranes in there. Okay, this is the second floor of Hardin Hall. And it's kind of as it exists right now. Essentially, all the red dots represent access points that are either closed now or will close in May. The A up in the upper part of the drawing, that's the access closest to the woods. That is open right now, but in May that will close down. B is the elevator that links the lower level to the second and third floor. That is already offline. C is the access off of the academic mall into the atrium where the elevator is. That's open right now, but that will close in May. The 2-stop elevator that takes you from the main floor down to the lower level, that will close in May. All of the green are access points that remain open through the project. So the connector link over to Jamrich, the link doors between Jamrich and Hardin always remain open. That letter E represents the tunnel that takes you over to Weston Hall, and then the access over at the loading dock. The contractor's access is, what is that letter? Letter H. That will be the access point for the contractor. So the contractor's sole access in and out of the facility is from the staging area or the construction area through the double doors, through the stairwell, into their work site. So at no time will contractors intermix with, NMU use. This is the lower level of Hardin Hall. All of the green arrows represent access points from the tunnel in the science building, coming down the stairs from the link that connects over to Jamrich Hall, the Tracy Avenue access, and then the loading dock. All of the red arrows represent exits. Some are the same as the entrances. Some of the arrows on here are emergency exits. All of the emergency exits that exist now down on the lower level will remain for the duration of the project. So I'm going to switch to the science complex. Before I do, any Hardin questions? Okay. So both Brock and Gavin talked about our start date for the science complex. Typically, we would start in May. Once school is out for this project, we are starting in April. The reason we're starting in April is we want to be enclosed, our new structure enclosed before the winter weather gets here next fall. If we start a month early, we actually pick up 2 months on the completion because we're enclosed, we're dry, and everything is interior work during the winter months. So we're going to start in April. And what you see in red is our construction area. So this is the area that will be fenced off, and it will remain fenced off for the duration of the project. It does affect 2 access points into Weston Hall. It will affect deliveries into kind of the loading dock area that connects Weston Hall to the science building. I know chemistry and other departments take deliveries from people like air gas. All of those can still happen. We'll just need to coordinate those with the construction manager. The area in blue that is right adjacent to the greenhouse, that will be the construction manager's project trailers. And then kind of the beige-ish color, that's lot 18, that's the faculty staff lot. We are going to use that lot over the course of the summer, and the summer only, for material laydown. So things like steel, jobs trailers, that kind of stuff, that will be in that lot, but it's just for the summer. Middle of August, we'll move all of that stuff out, and it will be available for faculty staff over the course of the fall and winter semester.
Jim, how far out does the footprint of the addition go? Does it touch the circle there?
It does not. It's about 50 feet short of the circle. It's a good question. So I have been asked by some, is our addition, is our construction going to affect the geocircle or any of the outdoor learning areas? The answer is no. When we're all said and done, all of those areas will be preserved, and they'll look as they do today. The last slide I have for you, there are a couple of things that we're going to do to help alleviate some of the pressure that's going to be placed on parking. That blue square represents a temporary parking lot that we're going to build over the course of the summer. As it's shown right there, it's about 80 spaces. It's not going to be anything too elaborate. This is going to be a gravel lit parking lot. More than likely, this will be for resident students, but we can provide that lot and then take pressure away from some of the lots closer to Hardin Hall. The area in yellow, kind of to the right of Hardin Hall, that's adjacent to Lot 7. That is going to be set aside for contractor parking. So these are the workers that are working both in the Hardin project and on the science complex. At any one time, we'll have between 100 and 120 workers between the two projects, and this is where we're going to put them. What'd I miss?
You got it. Other questions?
Questions? Concerns?
Are you going to open up the woods parking you took away from us last summer when you take away the faculty parking lot this summer?
Oh,
So you saw how quickly he moved, huh? Now you know why I'm up here. So David, I'm going to pull a map up, or try to anyways. So a lot of our parking decisions go through the Parking and Traffic Committee, which meets in 2 weeks now that we have these finalized plans. So lot 36 is the one that David is talking about, which is, I don't know if you can see the cursor right here. And we did that because of the increase of capacity of Spalding Hall. So it was more to help alleviate that pressure. We had done parking lot surveys and we had the capacity. So the fall semester, I had my staff doing parking lot surveys at 10, 12, and 2, so we could kind of get an idea where we had capacity around the campus. I'm also doing it this semester, but our fall semester is different than the winter semester. So we do this every year or every semester to kind of get an idea. Winter semester, we probably will see a little bit of some pressure, but not as much as we are going to in the fall. So a couple of ideas that the Parking and Traffic Committee is going to be looking at is Lot 7 here and Lot 11 here, for some additional parking, possibly for faculty staff. Like I said, when we changed Lot 36, that was faculty staff and commuters. So, when we did the lot surveys, there were more commuters in there than there were faculty staff, because Lot 18, the one Jim showed you, and if Cindy's in the room, she's gonna, if I'm not pointing these out, she's gonna be mad at me, because I know the numbers, but not everybody it does. So, so we have the capacity for this semester. Will it be a little bit of tight at 10 to noon or 10 to 2, like it always is? Yes. The fall is what we're really going to have to make some modifications for. So to answer your question, I suspect, David, we will be doing something. I'm not sure it's going to be right next to the science buildings. Yeah, the summer. Yeah. Well, 18, yeah, probably more likely because it'll be empty, right? But keep in mind, you're going to have to walk all the way around the construction site. You might want to go in lot 17 and go through the science building. Or 29, the one right along here. So those two lots, I suspect those are going to be the more popular lots. So, but the fall is, as Brock and Gavin and Jim have all said, it's going to be congested up there. We are looking at a couple of other things, trying to spread out some stuff so that we can, we also, it's not the ideal, but we do have some capacity in 21. It's a little bit farther. We also have lot 1, which is a lot out here. If you're in TFA, the theater, Grease Hall, if you're there, there is a lot there as well. So I think it's just going to have to, we're going to have to shift a little bit, and see where it goes. So, other questions?
Is there a plan for maybe adding more like grants or maybe a campaign, since we're doing the carbon neutrality? Sorry. Is there a plan for, since we're trying to be more carbon neutral, to have more bike racks or like a, hey, walk to campus type of plan to like go along with this to
That sounds like a
decrease-
SISU initiative. We always look at bike racks, we do survey some of our bike racks, and we have relocated them. There's probably gonna be some that are gonna get relocated here because they're gonna be inside the construction area. So to answer, yes, I mean, we are looking at that, so.
Okay, cool. I figured you were, but I just.
Yeah, it's one of those that it just depends on the makeup of the classes, and people will figure out where they need to go. It's just, if you're bringing a vehicle to campus and if you come at 8 o'clock, as you all know, you're not gonna have a problem. You come at 10 to 10 and expecting to be in class at 10 o'clock, and expecting one of those parking spots, it's probably not gonna happen, so.
Yeah, I think too, just the marketing of it to our students, to like our students and community of like, we are encouraging you to bike, and here's a good reason why, like the environment side of it too.
Yep. And if we ever have a winter, that's gonna change things too, so. Skiing, yeah.
So lot 62, I know, is a lot that's near and dear to all of our hearts in Hedgecock. And currently now, it's faculty staff only.
Yep.
Is that the plan, is
Yep.
for it to remain that
Yes.
way? Okay.
Yeah, there's no plans to change. The only thing that this lot 7 is what I'm looking at, and lot 11 for redesignation at this point. So, yeah, we won't take any more away. Now, as we all know, we're the Enterprise Center. When we start construction there, we'll be opening up the north end of lot, or west end of lot 28. Probably gonna have to take some others offline to do that. So that's the timing of these projects. It'll be nice that we'll be opening one and then starting another one. we'd be in a lot of trouble if we tried to start that one at the same time as these other ones. So, but 62 is, we're not looking at that, so. This might be you, Joe.
For the offices in Weston that might be impacted by the addition of the biology labs, do you anticipate that those faculty that are in those offices will have to move out during construction?
No, I don't think so, no. There may be a point where we need to relocate you while we remove your window and block it in, but no, that would be weeks, you know, not the 15 months duration we have for construction. So we've met with biology, we've met with chemistry, we've met with psychology, and a lot of those meetings have been because they have animals and we got to figure out how to move them and where to put them, and those are kind of critical items. We still need to reach out to the rest of the departments before April gets here. So that'll be upcoming probably after spring break.
Okay, perfect, yeah, because 6 of those offices are nursing. I guess I just want to put a plug in. My office isn't impacted, but I know the faculty who are impacted would love some lead time if they're going to have to move out, because some people have years of materials that they'll have to figure out how to pack up if they will have to move out for a period of time.
Yeah. I don't know that they'll have to do a complete move out. They may not be able to occupy it, but yeah.
Gotcha. Do you anticipate that there will be a lot of noise in those offices where that might make them not usable?
There'll be noise.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't do what we're doing and not have noise. So far, over in Hardin, for example, I've been surprised how little noise there is in the occupied areas. Not a lot of what we're doing is really, you know, invasive, but some of the things that we've been doing there have been invasive. For example, to separate the HVAC systems, we had to have contractors come in with Sawzalls and literally cut the ducts, and some of these ducts are, you know, 4 feet in diameter. And if you've ever cut or been around metal being cut with that kind of, it's loud. And being connected to the ductwork, it just amplified everywhere. Standing next to a contractor doing it, thought, I'm getting a phone call today. Never got the phone call. When I went and talked and toured and talked with staff, they didn't even know we were doing it. I think the thing that saved us there was the concrete deck. And that separated construction from occupied areas. I don't have a concrete deck between you and what's taking place, but we got a big masonry wall. And that's going to help muffle sound. But there will be noise. There will be noise.
Okay, and I anticipate that some faculty, I know they've been concerned about losing their windows for quite some time. What would the process be for having conversations about the offices that will be located in the new part of the building if they were interested in trying to relocate to an office that would have a window?
I think what's going to need to happen is, you know, the new offices are going to be adjacent to either biology or chemistry labs. I think what should happen is there should be a shift. And, you know, those departments kind of occupy those offices next to the lab. And if that frees something up in the main part of the building, that's what we do. But we haven't, those offices are still to be assigned.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Yeah. Steve? Oh.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is a question for the university or the city, but, you know, some of the city streets there's a parking ban during the time that students are here on Northern's campus. Is there any talk of alleviating that parking ban while the construction's going on, just to, you know, have people who can walk a little further, park out further?
On the city streets?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, the only parking ban I'm aware of is the after hours for snow plowing. We have a lot of students that park along some of the roadways. There's a few that I think the signs are still there because of the schools.
you talking about like on Norwood though?
Yes.
Yeah,
Norwood,
where-
oh,
Yeah.
Norway?
Norway.
Norway.
Where Whitman and, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and that has more to do with some of the widths. You know, there's not a lot of space there to put parking. So we can look at that, but, yeah, we do have a lot of students that do park on city streets because we do get complaints from
Right.
neighbors. But on some of the streets because there's cars there during the day,
We
so.
can promote Whitman too.
Yeah. You never liked me to promote that.
I actually think students still get tickets if they park on 8th Street, right off of behind McClintock. If they park on 8th Street that goes up toward they get tickets if they park there.
Is that signed?
It is signed.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still is, it was.
What, is it Norway or Norwood that's on the other side of the woods by the science complex? Is that Norway?
Norway.
Is
by
Norway signed, no parking, kind of behind that used to be, students used to park there a lot
By
back in the
Propylon?
day. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, they still do.
Oh,
They still
okay,
do,
that's still available. Okay. Anything else? We good?
I might just
Thank you, everyone.
add something. Jeff, you did your best to get the mic around. Let me just add a couple of things. I want to say, I've certainly spent a lot of meetings like this seated in the seats out there, and from a faculty perspective or a departmental leadership perspective, understand how easy it is to look at, all of these projects, and actually all of you probably in your own expertise areas or in your own corners of campus, like, wow, how could they not think of that? Or that's going to be a much bigger deal than they understand. And you're right. I mean, these things are not trivial concerns. Parking congestion, closed off areas of campus, some of the accessibility issues, they're real challenges. They're not trivial. But I just want to say, thank you, Jim and Mike and Kathy and Gavin and others. I mean, it's not a gigantic team. And as you look at the different parts of these projects and all of the things that have to be accounted for, it's a Herculean task. And so I think we're certainly open to adjustments. There'll be things that we need to work on along the way, but it's a really kind of complex undertaking. And so, Jim and Mike and Kathy, Gavin and others, I want to thank you. I also want to say, again, thanks for engaging. I mean, Katie, your comments really good. Hugo, your idea about the faculty or staff housing that might be connected to any new development there. Those are fantastic, and that's why these moments are really important, right? We say we want more communication on this campus, we want more transparency, and I think we all do. This is the effort and energy that it takes, and it takes time, and it takes you being sharp when you walk in so that the ideas percolate, and I know we're receptive to them, and not all of them are going to play out, right? Not all of them end up being feasible, but some of them will be, and so it is a really exciting thing, and on that note, Bill, I always hesitate to give you too much credit in public, but I will give you, I mean, your point about Wildcat Way in the bike racks, in thinking about Wildcat Way, as we have these engagement sessions and you consider what's about to happen, which is that we're going to spend, the next year, 2 years thinking about totally redesigning the way that employees and students get from one end of campus to another. Like, this is a terrific opportunity to think about sustainability. It's a terrific opportunity for us to think about relieving points of serious congestion, trying to open up other areas where, we might have some space. Maybe easier for a student to park down by the dome if Wildcat Way and this awesome kind of bike throughway just scoots straight up Fair and right onto campus to the main instructional areas. So there's so much opportunity associated with this careful planning. And yeah, we have trustees in the room. But it's a pain in the butt in some ways. I mean, and I'll use the butt term, but I mean, it is part of being associated with a growing campus and a campus that's thinking about these things a little bit ahead of time. So, Gavin, I didn't know if you wanted to add anything to wrap us up here. We'll have other opportunities to engage on these matters. Some of them are really specific, and I think you saw the meeting times for connecting on things like Wildcat Way. Other opportunities will be more general, like the next time we get together as part of the University Forum series. So if there is nothing else to add, again, major thanks to the presenters, major thanks to all of you for attending this afternoon. We got a little sunshine peeking through. Hope you all have a very happy Valentine's Day, and we'll see you again, hopefully downtown for the Festival of the Sled Dog on Friday. Okay, thanks all. Appreciate it.